Hello everyone! Today we're going to take a look at 10 very common English idioms that I think everyone should know. First of all, what is an idiom? An idiom is an expression, a group of words that has a figurative meaning. The overall meaning of an idiom usually can be understood from the meanings of its separate words. It must be learned as a whole. Idioms are very important in English and they are used all the time. So if you're learning English and you want to expand your vocabulary, you want to be able to speak in a more natural way without being too repetitive, then idioms are the perfect solution for you. So let's take a look at 10 very common idioms. Turn a blind eye. To turn a blind eye means to pretend not to notice something, to intentionally ignore something that you know is wrong or shouldn't happen. For example, the mayor has turned a blind eye to the city's homelessness problem. That means he's disregarding the problem. He's ignoring it. He's not paying any attention to the problem intentionally. He knows there's a problem to be fixed, but he turns a blind eye. He pretends not to notice.
If I'd known it would go this far, I would have just turned a blind eye.
I'm going to pretend I didn't see anything. That's what turning a blind eye means. Drive somebody up the wall. If you drive someone up the wall, you make them extremely angry. You're annoying them. You're irritating them. I'm working on a project with Jake, and he's been driving me up the wall. He's getting on my nerves. That's another way to say it, to get on somebody's nerves. And it means the same thing. He's annoying me. He's irritating me. I can't stand it anymore.
He's driving me up the wall.
You could also use this idiom for things, not just people. So something could drive you up the wall. Like, this heat is driving me up the wall. It's too hot. I can't stand it. It's making me feel irritated. To drive up the wall. Bark up the wrong tree. First of all, what is barking? Barking is the sound dogs make. Dogs bark. That one. But barking up the wrong tree means trying to get something in a way that's just not going to work. Like asking someone for a favor when that person is just not the right person to do you that favor. I'll give you some examples. Let's pretend a friend of yours asks you to help them with their math homework, and you know nothing about math. You couldn't possibly help them. You could say, "I'm sorry, you're barking up the wrong tree." You're trying to get something from someone who can't help you. It could also mean that that person is unwilling to do you that favor. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that person is unable. It could also mean that they are unwilling. But in this case, in the example that I've given you, it stands for inability.
You know, you're barking up the wrong tree.
You could also use it more generally. You could say, for example, if you think that'll work, you're barking up the wrong tree. You're mistaken. You're misdirecting your efforts to bark up the wrong tree. Number 4, sit on the fence. This is a fence. If you're sitting on it, it means you're undecided. It's a very simple idiom. It means you're unable or unwilling to make a decision about something or to commit to something. You're on the fence. You're sitting on the fence. For example, a decision has to be made. You cannot sit on the fence and hope it will go away. I'd like to get a tattoo, but I have very sensitive skin, so I'm sitting on the fence about it. I'm undecided. I don't know what to do yet. I'm still thinking about it.
I'm on the fence here.
Number 5, see eye to eye. This is another very simple idiom. If you see eye to eye with someone, it means you agree with them. You share the same opinion about something. Or in general, you share the same opinions. For example, we're friends, but we don't always see eye to eye. We don't always agree on everything. We have different opinions about certain things.
We didn't see eye to eye on.
Another way to say this is to be of the same mind, which is pretty straightforward, self-explanatory. To be of the same mind means to agree on a lot of things. Number 6, beat around the bush. This is a bush. If you beat around it, it means you avoid talking about what's important. You don't get to the point. In the UK, you could also hear to beat about the bush instead of around the bush. It has the same meaning, don't worry, it's the same thing. Stop beating around the bush and get to the point. Stop talking around it. You're avoiding what's important. Get to the point. Another way to say getting to the point is getting down to the nitty-gritty. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about what's important. So anyway, stop beating around the bush. Stop talking around it.
There's no point beating around the bush.
Number 7, by the skin of your teeth. The first thing you notice if you're not familiar with this idiom is that teeth don't have skin. And that's exactly part of what makes its meaning. By the skin of your teeth means barely, only just, by a very small, narrow margin. For example, he escaped the police by the skin of his teeth. That means the police almost got him, but by a very small margin, he managed to escape. He barely managed to do so.
Seems you've passed by the skin of your teeth.
Demi Lovato recently released a new song that goes, I'm alive by the skin of my teeth. I even made a TikTok about it. And that's exactly what it means. I'm alive by the skin of my teeth means I almost died, but I managed to survive. I survived by a hair's breadth. That's another way to say it, by a hair's breadth. So by something that is very, very small, very narrow, by a hair's breadth, by the skin of my teeth. Number 8, under the weather. This is one of the first idioms that are taught in schools to English learners because its meaning is very basic. It's very simple. So to be under the weather simply means to feel slightly ill. When you don't feel well. Let's pretend you're getting a cold. You start feeling a little ill. You could say, I feel a little bit under the weather today.
A little under the weather.
By the way, did you know why they say this? Apparently, this idiom has a nautical origin. Because when sailors were at sea and the weather got rough, of course, some of them would get seasick. They depended on the weather. So that's the explanation. If you're under the weather, you don't feel well. Number 9, out of the blue. This is one of my favorite idioms ever. I probably use it too much. Out of the blue means suddenly, unexpectedly. But it's such a nice way of saying it, out of the blue. It sounds poetic, but actually it's used in everyday conversations as well. One day, out of the blue, she told me she was leaving. It was completely unexpected. It was sudden, abruptly.
Yeah, out of the blue.
Out of the blue. I love it. Number 10, call it a day. You might have heard this idiom watching movies or series that are set in the workplace. That's because it's very common to say this idiom in that environment. Its meaning is, that's it. That's it for today. That's enough for today. So for example, after a long day at work, you could say, let's call it a day.
Okay, let's call it a day.
Or if it's very late, you could also say, let's call it a night. That's enough for tonight. And so after this idiom, let's just call it a day. That's enough idioms for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope you learned something new. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, activate the notification bell so you never miss any of my new videos, and you could also send me a super thanks to support my work. Thanks for watching. Bye!